Yes,
You are.
all right. Try to see if I can keep from coughing my way through this. Just really wanted to kind of start by just saying how proud I am of our players and our team the other night and our staff. Again, gone through a lot of different trials and adversity through the last couple of weeks, and they have just been amazing with how they've worked, how they've continued to do everything, and the manner in which they've taken it. And there, excuse me, could have been a lot of different opportunities, for them to have, made decisions that were selfish decisions or made decisions that, put our team in a difficult spot. We go into halftime the other day, we're down 10-0, and it's kind of like I told them, we got them right where we want them. And we got a chance to win the second half and give ourselves a chance to be able to win the football game, and I thought our players went out and did that, and we're able to sit there and continue to fight and continue to get better. I am really, really excited about the trajectory that we're on. I think we continue to get better. I can think we continue to, be able to sit there and, again, defensively, having situations where we're able to create the volume of takeaways that we did the other day. Excuse me. And offensively, thank you. Over here being a diva. Excuse me. But I was really, really proud of all those guys. And again, I thought they handled themselves real well, gave ourselves a chance to win the football game. And that's really what you're looking for, exactly what it was, which was you got 5 minutes left on the clock, you got a chance to win the game. And again, that's a good football team that we played. Coach X done an amazing job this past year with New Mexico. And they've beaten a lot of good teams this year, and I was really proud of the way our guys played. I thought we had some, incredible individual performances. Jace Bella had 2 more, caused fumbles, so, that puts him at 6 takeaways in 5 weeks. I know y'all are looking around because y'all told me that wasn't true the other night, but it was. But so he had 2 more. Andrew Larch had 3 the other night. Fumble recoveries, a Mountain West record. So those 2 guys really jumped up. I was excited for Jace. Jace has been a walk-on here throughout his career. I put him on scholarship this morning. Had a great opportunity to do that in the team meeting. He's more than earned that and deserves that for the play that he's had. I really want to, kind of the same thing with DC. DC, came in and threw for almost 250 yards, was somewhere between, 65 and 70% with his completion percentage. I thought he came in and did really, really well and provided a spark for us. DeAndre Gill, by far, had his best game of the year, had sacks, had a lot of tackles, was involved in a lot of different plays. I thought Lloyd played really, really strong. Again, had a huge play at the end of the game, get in the end zone and give us a chance with 5 minutes left. At the end of the game, we continue to kind of talk about action and reaction, throughout the game. A good example of that is just, trying to find a way for one guy, to be able to kind of change the trajectory of the game. And I thought a great example, we talked about Jay Marsh doing it the opening kickoff last week. I thought Brian Hansen, he had a 70-yard punt the other day. On Saturday, that 70-yard punt, with an individual effort, puts them inside the 5. The very next play, on P and 10, we have a chance for Jarmo. Jarmo, causes a fumble, puts the ball at the 7 or the 8, cuts, winds up jumping back on it, and we score on offense. So if it weren't for the punt, then we don't have an opportunity to flip the field, create a takeaway, and then that's really the rhythm and the momentum that we keep talking about. We've got to gain more, opportunities, these actions and reactions as they go. Again, a lot of credit to New Mexico. I thought they did an excellent job. Coach X certainly has done an excellent job there with what they're doing. As we kind of move forward, again, we got Boise State this week, and a big opportunity for us. Again, we've got an excited football team for the opportunity that we've got to go play those guys. Coach Danielson has done an incredible job there in his tenure there. I really think Coach Potter, the offensive coordinator, does a great job, and I think Eric does a great job with the defense as well. So those guys, they've got good players. Got 2 quality running backs that can run and kind of hit home runs from anywhere. They've got 2 quality quarterbacks. I expect to see both of those guys play this week. They've got receivers that are long and can really win one-on-one balls, and the offensive line and tight ends that play really well together, and they've had been able to run the ball forever, at will. And so again, I think all those things kind of are put in place defensively. Eric has kind of always been an odd front guy. He's playing a lot more 4 down, and they continue to do a good job. They've got great players in every room, kind of at every level, and they're able to make plays with the ones they've got. So again, I think those guys have done a really good job throughout the year. We're excited about the opportunity to play them and get over there and be able to get on the road and have another chance for another win. So again, long-winded second week in a row. Sorry.
No, you're good. You talked about preparing for possibly seeing both quarterbacks. Do you prepare differently for a Boise State offense depending on who is at quarterback?
Well, I think, that obviously they've got tendencies for each one, and you'll try to take the tendencies from both and see what their strengths are and try to minimize those and try to exploit their weaknesses. I think both really do a good job, and obviously, trying to be able to figure out what that kind of balance is and how we're able to practice those things is going to be the real challenge.
You've also tried to play both quarterbacks. You've had packages for both. Is that going to continue moving forward the way you want? What have you liked from both, what you see from JB and what, Darius says?
Sure. Well, I think JB's done a really good job of, again, just really challenging year. 3 different play callers, and then, trying to be able to move some of these packages around, and, kind of what you saw the other day, we had some short-term injuries that wound up kind of moving offensive linemen from this spot to this spot to this spot. And so anyway, I think they've just done a good job of being able to control what they could control in front of them and keeping the group together and still being able to give us a chance at the end of the day. Their effort, their fight, and their ability to execute in some critical times in the second half is what gives us a chance to win the game. And so I think that the quarterbacks are a huge, huge piece of that. So I think that JB's really done a nice job of that. I think DC's done a great job of being prepared and being ready. DC came in the other day and I think threw for 240-something yards, 244. And so I don't think we've had anybody throw for over 200 all year. So he was able to come in there and do that, and really good with his efficiency. Just had some bad luck with some batted balls that we've got to make sure that we don't have. But if you're able to get some of those batted balls kind of taken out of it, and it's a whole different game. And that kind of goes back to, again, some of the action and reaction things that we keep talking about. But I think they've both done an excellent job, and looking forward to seeing both of them play again.
So JB, is he okay physically, do you think, again, digging up?
It's Monday.
Yeah.
We'll get out there and, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But if he can go, we're sure going to try to make sure that he can.
And you mentioned some of the, obviously, kind of forced changes on the O-line there. Just how difficult is that when you're having to do some shuffling of all that and, kind of with everything else that's been going on too, just like another layer of difficulty?
Yeah, I think Bill's done a good job of being able to get those guys ready to play, and I know we've talked about it a lot defensively, and obviously we're kind of running into some of those same problems on offense right now, but, this is why, spring practice is important. Your summer workouts are important. Camp is important. And defensively, what I always try to say is you're preparing for war in a time of peace. You're trying to go ahead and move some of these pieces around, and you're trying to have all these different packages. I can remember when I first got here in the spring, y'all were asking me about how many personnel groupings, and I think in the spring we put in, 5 or 6 or 7, and I was saying, well, here's why we have this one, and it's really for if we have injuries here, and we have this one, the injuries there. Offensive line's obviously, more challenging, particularly as you start moving centers around, and so that's been a big challenge for us. But I think they've done a good job of handling those things, and proud for Bill and that group for continuing to step up and continuing to fight the way they have.
Does it, like you say, changing center is difficult, and then quarterback changing too, does that make it even more complicated, like just, again, layering changes?
There's all kinds of layers right now. Like I said, it just becomes challenging. But and again, I think that all the people offensively, players and coaches alike, have done such a good job, particularly the last 3 or 4 weeks. The last 3 weeks for sure, of just continuing to show improvement, continuing to play for each other, continuing to do all the right things. Our receiver room is so improved, in my opinion. It's amazing to sit there and watch those guys. And I kind of go back to all those pieces, really challenging. Like you said, you haven't won as many games as we've liked, they're on coach wind up getting dismissed, and then you're on your third coordinator. Now we're on our third quarterback. A lot going on. And so anyway, throughout the season, from the beginning of camp till now, we're on our third center. So there's a lot of different moving pieces, but I give them a lot of credit for continuing to move forward and continuing to put us in a position where we can win the game like they did the other day.
Darius does become your first quarterback throw for 200 yards, and oddly enough, you guys led the Mountain West in passing yards last week. What did you see improved in your passing attack that you hadn't been able to see prior?
Well, I think just I think they've all improved with their fundamentals and their details, and I think what you see, particularly when we get into some of our quick game and intermediate routes and things like that, I think you just see such an awareness for, again, pre-snap understanding of what coverage they're getting between the receivers and the quarterbacks, and I think what you see is the opportunities that come up inside of those things where, again, I feel like the fundamentals and the details are there. I think when you try to take a look, particularly like there's early where we've got opportunities to take some shots and create some PIs, and that's where the offensive line, the tight end, the running backs, and the quarterbacks, everybody tied together, getting the protection correct, and giving yourself a chance to be able to get some of those throws down the field is a big part of that as well. So I think they've all done a good job tying those things together.
You did mention Boise State's got a couple of really good backs. They traditionally have a really good running game. Is that where it kind of starts and ends with your defensive plan? That's how you've got to take them out of systems, by stopping the run?
Yeah, well, in about an hour and 21 minutes, we'll go in there and decide what we got to start with. But, yes, for sure. I mean, I don't know how many years this is that they've been a top 10 rushing team in the country. I don't know if that's 10 or 15 or 20, but I know the last 5 they've been a top 5 rushing team. So that's where it's got to start. They've always got great backs. O-line is tied really well together. O-line coach, I think, has been there 3 or 4 years, and it'll have to start with that. And saying that again, they've got talented receivers, they've got talented tight ends, and they've got, 2 quarterbacks that have the ability to really hurt you with their arm and their legs, and they move the pocket really well when they use those guys. So, got to have a balance for sure.
Kind of talked about, at halftime being able to be in a position to go out and win the second half. I mean, outscoring your opponent in the second half, giving yourself a chance to win. Did it feel like that by the end of the game?
Did it feel like what?
Like winning the second half.
We won the second half. We didn't win the football game, so I mean, I hate to sound cliche. We're not looking for, second place trophies or anything like that. We're really not. But I do think that when we start talking about progress and process, I'm as excited as I can be. And I think, again, what you're starting to see is, some of our changes in habits and some of our attention to detail things and some of the changes and adjustments that we've made over the course of the last 3 weeks. I think you're seeing them start to translate into the game. And I think you're seeing that with individual players. And I think you can see the trajectory that we're on. And that's where, we've got to be able to figure out how to go 1-0 this week. And we got to try to figure out how to win both halves. If we do that, we'll be where we want to be.
When you look at Rocky's season, I know there was a lot of excitement about Jackson. He has a really good opening game. Unfortunately, you guys lose him. But Rocky's 1 touchdown catch away from tying the program record for tight end scores in a season.
Well,
what really has he brought deeper than just the numbers? Because it seems like he's also blocked very well, and he's been one of those guys very intentional on trying to make everything better.
Yeah, he's a complete player, to your point, and I had the opportunity. I went against Rocky twice when he was at FIU and I was at Western, and so when I got here, I was really excited about him being on the same team as him. But I think he does it all real well. I mean, if you go back and look, we had our team meeting this morning to review the game and our action reaction film study, and he's got 3 catches over the middle, that are unbelievable. And 2 of those, DC, drops a dime right in his hands, and he's able to come up with the plays. He gets, crushed on one of them and holds on to it and is back out there a couple of plays later. He's got 2 different plays where he's on the perimeter and he's blocking, and he takes a guy into the first row. And then he's able to go play, with a 6 technique in his face, and he's able to go play where he's got to work, on some of the counter series stuff where he's got to be able to play some of those things out, and he's in protections. So I think the ability and the adaptability of that room with both he and Ryan and Carlos, Ryan had a big catch in the fourth quarter to give us a chance to go for it on 4th down and be able to give us another chance to score. So, I think that room's done an incredible job. We ask them to do a lot, and they've been able to do it, and he's the best example of it.
You bring up that catch where he got crushed. Were you surprised as everybody else that he actually held on to that ball?
I was really worried about him, to be honest with you. And as I just told him, I was just like, man, you're a tough sucker. That's all I can tell you, because I know I would have dropped that ball and been injured. But he popped right up. He was ready to go. Had a great attitude this morning again in the meetings, continues to lead. Super, super smart guy. Loves being a Ram, loves being back in his home state, and loves being able to lead that group. So really, really impressed by him.
Tough sucker, is that exact phrasing or is that paraphrasing?
I'll go with that.
Okay.
I'll just stick with it, yes. Y'all got anything?
Good.
All right, thank y'all. There ain't no telling what I said.
Oh, I'm sure.